things, but I would like to share. Cameron offered to me, and I'm really thankful that she offered for me to come over here and speak. So anyone that really knows me knows I never miss a chance to talk. That's like my big thing, is talking. FFA, Justin's class, my teachers tell me to quit, it's fine. But I'm honored because Cameron selected me to come up here and talk about something that's very personal to everyone, but also, as you can see with this group, is not a self thing, it's everyone. I got a couple of stories to tell you, but first I want to start off and do kind of a disclaimer. I'm not a great Christian. The band actually is the band at my church, and they haven't seen me in a while because it was duck season. Sundays, yes, they are church, but I'm also a firm believer that you do not have to be in a church to be close to God. Amen. I feel a lot closer to God sitting up on top of a mountain, hearing an elk bugle, or sitting in a duck blind freezing. I don't kill a lot of ducks, so I just get cold. However, I think that anywhere is the right place to worship God. It's really hard in some places. It's very hard to be outspoken about your religion. I think that's even more apparent today than it was 20 years ago. But if you start out believing, you'll find the people that help you find your place with God. I have a plethora in my life. My grandmother played an organ at a Catholic church for years. I don't have to play any music, but she played it, so it connects me there. My family always connected me with God. I had a best friend and a girlfriend who have really brought me close to God. And I've met people throughout my life that have all been able to talk and connect with me about my religion through not only just talking about God, but talking about other things, talking about hunting, talking about sports. Really awesome. Our baseball team, since I can remember, has prayed before games. We could have prayed a little harder when we lost to Paonia last year, like 23-1, but,
Ricky.
that guy's from Paonia, just throw that out there. However, I want to share a couple stories with you guys. One is it's the sadder story of the two, so if you have tears, hold them back, because you don't need to cry for me. But it's about my granddad. My granddad was not a terribly religious man. Always believed in God, but never went to church because he was a farmer. And farmers don't get a day off, if anyone knows that. Except for last year, it was actually the Father's Day of 2016. He had a stroke. And if you know anything about strokes, the worst place to have a stroke is in your brainstem, and that's right where he had his. We spent the next, it was pretty much a year in hospitals and places as such, physical therapy, rehabs, things like that. And it was detrimental on our family. It's hard when you have someone that does so much with your family go down like that. He farmed every day of his life. And the moment he had that, we knew he was probably done. Me and my brother picked up a lot of the responsibilities. We farmed a lot of wheat, things like that. And it was just my dad. And that, it doesn't work with just a single person farming. So me and my brother picked up responsibilities, and that was a detrimental thing to us. We love farming, but it was difficult. And it was hard. We, as a family, suffered, but also it brought us closer together, and it definitely brought me closer together with some friends. It was a couple months later, and Grandpa was home, and he was just resting, things like that. And our grandmother called us. She lives 300 yards away from us, so it's not a long jaunt. And there was something wrong. So we went up, and he had another stroke. And the first place I saw God in this whole event was right there, because everyone left me. I was left alone with my grandfather, who just had a stroke, and I am not a medical professional. So I was like, come on, guys, you got to get back here and help me. But I was there, and the only thing I knew was keep him talking. That's what the doctor always told us, is if you can talk, you can help him out. So we just started talking, going about it, and finally, everyone came back. And my granddad, so we were getting ready to load him out and take him to the hospital again. And this is where my granddad, I think, had his best part was he was a funny guy. I think that God made sure he was funny at that very moment because I was scared. And we're trying to get him to talk to us. He's not doing it. And finally, I say something to him, and I get down in his face. And I was close. And he looks at me, and the first thing and the last thing my grandfather ever said to me was, "Damn, you're ugly." If that wasn't God helping me out in a situation, I don't know what it was. That took my nerves, threw them out the window, and it gave me a lasting impression of my grandfather. And that was,
That's awesome.
I think, definitely God's hand working down helping all of us out. And it gives me a funny story to tell about my grandfather. It made me remember him the way he was. I think that was God's big plan. He passed a little while later, and the worst part was, it was right before we headed off to play our pigtail game for district baseball. My dad's the baseball coach here in Dolores, so me and him were decommissioned for a little bit. We took a couple days off. My dad took more than me. I finally brought up the courage and probably just needed to do something. So I went to baseball practice one day. We were hitting practice. I'm not a great hitter anyways. Anyone that plays can attest to that. But I struck out like 10 times in a row. And finally I threw my bat against the fence, threw a helmet off, and just started crying. Luckily enough, we had really cool coaches that were assistant coaches, and we had some friends that came and lifted me up. And then a little while later, we had his funeral, and there was 20 or so of the baseball team showed up to his funeral and all were there. And I think that's what's awesome about FCA is it interconnects us no matter what. It's not, right there it shows it's not about the sport. It's not about the wins, the losses. It's not about your jacket that you get. But it's about growing those relationships with people. And when you can grow a relationship with God and those people at the same time, I think that's the best win you can get in your life. I definitely think that you have to be in a relationship with God before you can be in any true relationship with a person. And when I saw all my friends, family, and everyone show up to that event and the funeral, I knew that there were people there who had the same faith as me, who had the same views as me, and were there above all to help us. And I think that was, again, God just looking down and showing us that you don't have to be alone in life in the really difficult times. Of course, you're going to have people there in the fun times, but those difficult times when it's just you and God, I think He has a way of showing you someone that's going to be by your side. And luckily enough, I have a lot. And a lot of them are sitting in front of me, which is awesome. Also, if I hiccup, I'm terribly sorry. But anyways, and then I want to talk about my second story, which doesn't have a sad part, I don't think, so it's easier. But I was never a huge person to go to church. Like I said, I miss a lot of church to do things like hunt, and sometimes I sleep. But I finally started dating a girl. She's right here in the front row. And she asked one day if we could go to church. And I was a little hesitant because I went to church once before and I left the room crying because I thought I was going to burn in hell. I got the wrong message, apparently. But 17-year-old, or 16th time, I was like, sure, let's go. You know, I never had a problem saying I was religious, but I definitely had a problem showing it. And so we went to Awesome Grace Fellowship, which has an awesome band. It's a perk. And we started, and I was confused because never had read the Bible. I knew some of the lines, you know, the really ones everyone says, but I never read it. But I'd never been told what it meant after you read it, which is a big deal to me because it's hard to read. If anyone's tried to read the Bible, it is a hard thing. And having someone there to tell you what it actually means in layman's terms, which are the best for me, was perfect. So we went, and we went numerous times. We're kind of one of the few teenagers there, so everyone's all happy to see us. There's some older people, which I actually find a lot funner to be around than most people. So that works. But I think, again, that was God putting someone there, and not just my girlfriend, but everyone that's helped me through that, Todd, everyone there, to find my religion, find my faith, and be able to express it. I've never before spoken about my religion in front of anyone until this very moment, so I think I'm doing a good job, not totally sure. But I just think that if you have someone there to help you, and if you can find the more the merrier. I'm not a terribly big person on like large groups of people. I like to stay to myself. I like to stay with one or two people. Luckily enough, the few people I found that have grown into quite a few are all very Christ-based in their life. And I think that's the best you can have because no matter what, if you have God on your side and you have people on your side that are with you and with God, I think you're going to come out pretty well in this life. And that's kind of all I got to say.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming out, and thank you, Cameron, and your family for starting this all.